Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Sansworld. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Sansworld, and today we're going to be talking about a tip for those of you guys who are into making music, that the chord progression is one of the most important things of it. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Sansworld, and welcome. I've been out for a week. I got sick with strep throat, which means it's a bacterial infection of the throat. I tried to make a video like a couple of days ago, but I couldn't do it. I was so out of it thanks to the sickness, but now I'm feeling way better. So in today's video, we're going to be doing something big for you progressive house guys, trance guys, anyone who's pretty much making music that has a chord progression. So it could be big room house, but it's mainly more important for those people who need to have a really good chord progression because it's going to be pretty much be the whole song almost. So today we're going to be talking about that. So let's get to it. Now, you don't really need to know much music theory for this. As long as you know what scale you're in and you know how to count and how to make chords, then you should be fine. So let's get to it. So for this example, we're going to be using the D sharp minor scale. And the D sharp minor scale is going to be D sharp, F, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, and D sharp. I know the scale by memory because I always play my piano. I always pick a scale like what I used to do back then to learn every scale. I would pick a scale and then I would just mess around. I was going to say fuck around. I'd mess around on the keyboard and just play and have fun. Because in the end, that's what it's all about, having fun. Okay, so D sharp scale. A lot of people, when they make chord progressions, they tend to start on the 1, which is the name of the scale, which is the first note of the scale. In this instance, D sharp minor scale, that means the D sharp is the first note in the scale. It will be calling it a 1 or an I. Now, this is pretty much music theory. A lot of people talk about chords this way. I personally don't. I usually say, oh, I did a D sharp minor chord and whatever, or a D sharp chord using these notes, because every D sharp minor has 2 chords. It has the major one and it has the minor, and then there's so many variants to it. Okay, so a lot of people just do the standard, you know, D sharp first, because it's the name of the scale, and then we'll get the third of it. And again, you find a third by counting, or you just know it, and you just count the note you're on, which is 1, the next note 2, and then the third note is the third, F sharp. So that's going to be the third note. So this is harmonic to the D sharp, and this is the way you find harmonics. And then we do the 5th, and that's pretty much the chord. Okay, fairly simple. Okay, so then you do your little chord progression. So let's just do a simple chord progression here. Nothing crazy. Just using thirds again. We're not gonna utilize the 5th for this video. Again, utilizing the 5th would just mean it's three notes instead of just 2. Okay, so we're not utilizing that. We're just gonna go down the scales. Nothing too crazy. Maybe go here and then back up. So there's a third. Okay, so that's fairly simple chord progression. Okay, duplicate it out. Now we have an 8-bar chord. Okay, so the technique that I'm going to teach you guys, pretty much all you need to do is, if you start on the 1 here, all you need to do is back it up. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to back it up, and if you notice, when we back it up to the 6th note in the scale, again, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is going to be called the 6th chord, or the B minor or B major chord. It depends. I don't know much about it like that, so you don't need a music theory to that extent, obviously. But I do know this chord sounds good. Now, this chord, I figured it out because I was using a thing called pretty much hook theory, or hook tab. I think it's hook tab. Hook theory is the book. But hook tab lets you see pretty much the chords used in every song out there, and pretty much is generated by users. So people put the chords of certain songs up, and then you can play it along with the song. Now, one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of songs that were progressive house, some of the best songs that you guys have heard, like Reload, Dirty South, a lot of Dirty South stuff use this technique. A lot of Steve Angelo's songs with vocals on them use this technique. And pretty much the technique is that you don't have to start on the 1, you start on the 6. Now, the reason this works is because, again, if you take a good look, pretty much here, when we go down to B, a lot of people start on the 1st, which has the D sharp, which means pretty much the D sharp is the bottom note that you're going to be playing in your chord. So remember, it's 3 notes. So in this case, it's pretty much this. D sharp is the bottom note. However, when we move it down so that the B is the bottom note, and you can call this an inversion, but let's not overcomplicate it. Pretty much this is a new, if you can hear it, or instead of That makes a good chord progression, by the way. But if you guys can tell, this works perfectly fine if we play it out right now. And it gives it a whole different feeling, and it sounds correct, it sounds right. And that's because, again, that D sharp is there in the chord of B, or B minor, B major, whatever the fuck you're gonna call it. Don't complicate it. So if you guys know, this technique has been used by the likes of Vision recently for that new song they had, Turn It Around. It might not be new, but it's been getting a lot of playtime. It sounds amazing. It sounds very emotional, and that's because they use this technique. And again, this technique has been used a lot, like I stated, and it's a fairly simple one if we just start here. Now, again, this needs to be good too, your other 3 chords they're going to have in order to make that progression. But starting here allows you to get an advantage as well, because one of the things that you can also take from this is that if your melody revolves around the root note, which is the D sharp, and it starts on the D, it's going to sound twice as better if you play this chord, which is the 6th chord, again, the B, D sharp, instead of the D sharp, S sharp. And the reason for that is because, again, this is very harmonic. The B is very harmonic to the D sharp. It's the bottom note. So when we play that and we have a melody on top playing the D sharp, it sounds very, very harmonic, like it gets harmonized. And a melody will sound its best whenever the chords are harmonizing it to that extent. Again, a melody is no good unless the chords it's being accompanied is as good. So here we're gonna make a simple progressive house fucking melody that everyone makes. I'm not trying to bag on it, but I kind of hate progressive house because seriously, this is like pretty much every fucking melody on there. Try and get it. And then we go back up to the fucking 6. Seriously, this is every fucking melodies. Okay, so we're gonna duplicate this again, and then I think in the end you just fucking go down the scale or something. Just fucking do that. And it just keeps repeating. So if you guys know, this makes this sound so much better compared to if we were to do this. If you guys can tell, like, it sounds good, it sounds right, but it doesn't elevate the melody to that point. So a lot of songs out there in the progressive charts right now utilize this technique, which is fairly simple. And I wouldn't even call it a technique. It's just an inversion of the D sharp. However, a lot of people that make EDM music don't study music theory to that extent that they learn about inversions. And inversions, pretty much what they are, is pretty much just flipping a chord upside down. So in other words, you know, you can fucking say this is a fucking inversion of that chord and so much. So yeah, it works and just sounds great, guys. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Again, we can do this with any scale. I'll show you guys how to do it in a G minor, and it's just that simple. If you don't know nothing about music theory and can't figure it out, pretty much do this. Let's say you make your first chord, which is the, you know, in the G minor, it's the G, the A sharp, and then if you put the third, it's pretty much going to be the D. And what you want to do is you want to move it to the point where this note is pretty much the note that this used to be if that was your first chord. D sharp would be that, and we just want to get the right notes on there. So G, G sharp there. So this would be pretty much the technique being used in the G minor scale. We move it there and we start with it. Okay, so this technique is to start a chord progression, by the way. That's very important, and this will open up the doors because, again, it makes melodies sound twice as better than just starting on the one. And pretty much you can follow it up with the one if you want, and it just makes sounds like really, really good. I'm sure you guys know that chord progression. Dun, 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 dun. That's the progression for one of Dove Vision songs. But again, as you guys can tell, we start with this and this. Dun 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 dun. That's pretty much the technique being used to its full extent. So hopefully you guys have fun with this, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe if this helped out. I do have the new Serum Soundband coming out next Monday or next week. And it's gonna be like 5 days, I think, because I was sick this week, so I couldn't release it this Monday. But hopefully, if you guys want to support, you guys can always go and pick it up on Monday. And hopefully you guys like the sounds on there, and if you do, make sure to get it. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Here's to not getting sick ever again.